finally that time, Will. It's finally that time to take those belts out of the loopholes and just take it to some Packers ass on Sunday. Finally, a real game day show. I know we did some in the preseason, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Those are meaningless games. Those are just glorified practices with guys trying to make the team, which is important. But this is the real deal here, William. How you feeling going into game day?
I feel great. I feel great. And I'm not even just going to say game day. I'm going to say going into the season, there's been a lot of backlash, not backlash, negativity. We'll say negativity. There's been a lot of negativity for us changing coordinators, for us being a little bit injury prone last season. Uh, People have had a lot of things to say. I'm very, very excited to put some of those things to bed. So between that and just getting an opportunity to watch Kirby Joseph get two interceptions is very exciting to me.
That your hot take already? We're a minute into the show and we're already throwing out some hot takes. I'll tell you this, William. This is a big game. All right. We open up the season with two division opponents. First is the Packers. I don't want to look too far ahead, but it's a big game. You want to take care of your division games first and foremost. Last season did not sit well with me how it ended. All right. We were supposed to lift some trophies. We should have been playing the other night. We should have had the Thursday opener, meaning you won a Super Bowl. And I'm just sitting there last night watching that Eagles Cowboys game thinking, next year, that's going to be us. We're going to be opening the season next year. The road to that starts with Green Bay. Got to take care of them first. Um, Lot to dive into. Big game, division opponent on the road, big test. You know, all the news, all the media has been around Micah Parsons and him going to the Green Bay Packers. But I feel like as much as that Micah Parsons move helps their pass rush, I feel like the Packers got significantly worse up front on their defensive line when it comes to stopping the run. So I think we'll start there with that's what I think the Detroit Lions are going to try to establish is dominating the trenches, running the football. That's your bread and butter. Everything else is built off of that. You open up the play action pass, the passing game. But for me, it starts with running the football. And I don't think we have any better options than David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs just absolutely running wild. Well, how do you feel about the Micah Parsons thing and having to face him first?
I love it. I was an immediately unpopular take from a lot of my friends and Detroit Lions fans that have personal access to me that immediately started texting me in an uproar, worried about Micah Parsons going to the Green Bay Packers and that wrecking the chances of success for the Detroit Lions and all of the other things. I'm in the complete opposite boat. You mentioned Micah Parsons and the run game, and I'm going to say this as soon as I talked to you about it too, Steve. I said Micah Parsons can be a bit of a liability in the run game, and I know that there's going to be some people who immediately get on and or reach out to me on Twitter. There's already been a couple that show moments of Micah Parsons being dominant against some of the best tackles and just defensive linemen in the league. He moves anywhere from a zero tech to a nine technique and does phenomenal things. Here's what I want you to understand. Pay attention to this part because this is very important. Micah Parsons is a 240-pound man, freak athlete that can do explosive things at any given moment. He can win his matchup at nose or at wide nine. This is true. This is 100% true. Here's the problem, though. It's like asking a guy to sprint for the whole course of the football game. That's essentially what you're asking him to do because his body mass doesn't make his power or create his power. He's not coming in as a 300-pound guy with that power of a 300-pound man every single play. He has to produce his power through explosiveness and speed. It's a tough ask for a smaller guy throughout the course of a football game and throughout the course of a season. That's why I think he has to pick his moments. He's not a guy that's ever going to be a guy who can do those special things for the course of a whole football game. I took it upon myself to watch every single run defensive snap of Micah Parsons last season. Gets into moments where he just tries to olay guys and go around blocks instead of going through them. And he has to because of his size. The wear and tear on a guy that's 240 pounds from dealing with guys that are 300, 330, 315, 350 in some cases. It's just tough. You cannot continue to produce those superhuman moments over and over and over again over a season. To me, Steve, the only way Micah Parsons impacts football games is if you make teams one dimensional. If you can play ahead, turn our team into a pass first team, then Micah Parsons is going to be a problem to deal with if he can just go pass rush. But if you make him play inside of the trenches, down in and down out, we're going to get to those points to where, just like every other team who plays ahead or is in tight football games, we just run at them. Steve, teams decide sometimes, instead of being worried about where he is because you're scared of him, they're looking for him. Steve, where is he? And we're going to run directly at you. Panay Sewell is coming directly at you. Deal with him. And I think that that's going to be the biggest thing. As long as we don't allow the Green Bay Packers to play from ahead and they don't force us to be a pass first team and we're running the football, not only is Micah Parsons an issue for them, the loss of Kenny Clark is going to be an issue because they don't have another nose that can play the run as tough as Kenny Clark. And all of those guys are undersized in there besides Nazir Stackhouse, who isn't as good as the other two. So I believe they're in big trouble in the run game for those reasons. Uh, and I guess I won't get into any more predictions, but when we start talking about Micah Parsons, I think Parsons is a W. You're not taking Quay Walker off the field, Steve. You're not taking Edrin Cooper off of the field. You're not going to take Micah Parsons off the field. And Isaiah McDuffie plays a lot. So you're telling me you're going to have four guys on the field inside of the box that are 240 pounds and under? That's not a good look when we have big, strong offensive linemen who pride themselves on moving.
If I had to make myself throw up for a minute, Will, and pretend that I'm a Packers podcast, I'll tell you exactly what I would do with Micah Parsons. All right. And what I would do with him is on known passing situations, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and longer, whatever the case may be, known passing downs, I would have him test our interior offensive line. I feel like that's our question mark when it comes to offense is how's Graham Glasgow, Mahogany, Ratledge. Those are two guys who are essentially rookies, and Graham Glasgow, who we had a little scare with just like a week or two ago. So if I were him, if I were the Packers defensive coordinator, I would say I'm going to attack the middle of that offensive line, and I want to see how much water I can get. I want to see how much pressure I can generate up the middle on them because I don't think they have D tackles that can do it. Michael Parsons is a generational talent. He plays for the Packers. It sucks, but here's the deal. We were going to face him this season anyway. Now we just have to face him one extra time. We already have the Cowboys on the schedule, so it's just one extra time we have to see Micah. That's what I would do if I was a Packers defensive coordinator. Test where your question mark is. For me, I think the question is the interior of our line. But when you do that, I feel like we have so many playmakers on the outside. We've seen Dan Campbell dial up a run on 3rd and 8 and pick up a first down. As many people who thinks that that's Ben Johnson who was doing all that stuff last year, Dan Campbell wears a headset. It looks like this, a little bit more high tech, but that's going through his headset. If he says, no, I don't like that, call another play, call a passing play. It goes through Dan, what you want to do there. So that's what I would do with Micah. That's where I feel like the Lions have to be able to take care of business. It's an early test, but I feel like if we pass this test with Micah, I feel like other teams are going to be looking at our tape saying, man, I don't know where the question mark is with the Detroit Lions because that's really the only one I have is our interior O-line. So this isn't a Micah Parsons show. I still feel like Detroit Lions, if I took our roster versus the Green Bay Packers roster, they have much more question marks for them than I do for us. Maybe I'm biased there, but I don't know. I think we have some significant advantages just about everywhere else on the field, William.
Yeah. I can't. You got no arguments from me. And I'm excited to see how they deal with it. I don't know how much Micah Parsons we're going to have or they're going to have because him just learning the defensive scheme. Will he turn into a guy that is just out there this week for pass rush situations and certain situational downs. I don't know what this is going to ultimately um, turn into, but I will say again, there's even more reasons why I love it for Green Bay. I know that I do remember him and Dexter Lawrence getting into it about, or Demarcus Lawrence, I apologize, getting into it about some of his podcast stuff, social media stuff, and all that other stuff. I just don't know. He's got the back injury. It's just a lot of things that are pointing towards this thing potentially being a catastrophe. Even him already getting online and saying that he don't like Detroit and all of this stuff. Like, I don't know. Will it be a bit of more distraction than it is gameplay on the field? But Steve, staying on that defense and the Green Bay defense, their secondary. We always talk about these things being attached to a string. You want to have a great pass rush, and then with that great pass rush, if you got a great secondary, it's going to help them out tremendously, and it's going to make them even better. Steve, Nate Hobbs and uh, Nixon are not guys that I'm worried about, and Bo Melton was just a receiver not too long ago. He just got converted into a DB. Their secondary situation is another one that I think could pose problems for them. Now, Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney, those are freaking good ball players. I'm not going to take anything away from them. They got nothing from but respect for me, but those corners are going to get tested. Those are the corners that are going to be dealing with Tesla, JMO, St. Brown, Khalif.
Laporta, potentially Gibbs, like
Yeah,
they got their hands
it's a
full.
yeah, it's a tough ask, man. So short time for Parsons learning the scheme. You got a little bit being a little bit undersized. You got some doggone good receivers coming to town. An offense that we can say we got a new coordinator, but we got a coordinator who is very familiar with our personnel, very familiar with the organization, and very familiar with what our offensive scheme was because he helped put it in originally. So I think for all of those reasons, it's things are pointing in the direction of the Detroit Lions being able to have some success offensively. By some success, I mean a lot of it, and that's what I expect on Sunday.
I feel like when we're going into a game week one, and as much as I don't think that this is true, but there's a narrative out there with Aiden Hutchinson being the second best defensive player in the game, flying under the
Behind who?
radar. Huh? I
Behind
didn't say I agreed with it, but I hear some people saying that he's behind um, Micah Parsons. He's the second best defender in the game. I don't think so. But Packers fans got lucky last year. You didn't have to see 97. Now, you're getting 97 Aiden Hutchinson at his healthiest form in week one, okay, where he's fully healthy. He's ready to go. He's amped up. He's pissed. Didn't like being hurt last year. He's itching to get on the football field. This was a guy that was dominating our offensive line, and I do think that the Lions have a better offensive line, dominating us so bad in practice. We had to generate a new rule for him so that our offense could get reps. We had a joint practice with the Miami Dolphins. They had to institute the Hutch rule so that they could get their reps. We had a joint practice with the Houston Texans. They had to use the Hutch rule so they could get offensive reps. We're letting that dog off the collar on Sunday, Will. There's no early whistles. There's no red jerseys to keep Jordan Love safe. I've watched him play enough football to know if you can rattle his cage, he's not going to have a good game. He has to have a lot of things around him be perfect, mainly pass protection. I don't see him making elite throws where a defender is draped all over a receiver and he's dropping it where literally only the receiver's hands can touch the football. He's done it a couple times, but not consistent enough for me to think that Jordan Love is a problem in this game, especially when 97 is going to be breathing down his back. I feel like the Lions' biggest advantage in this game is what? Well, fill in the blank there.
Their biggest advantage,
Our biggest advantage.
uh, everything. We got the better quarterback. We have the better offensive line. We have the better running backs. We have the better receivers. We have the better defensive line. And I know that's probably a hot take, but I definitely believe that. I love our defensive line when we're talking about DJ Reader, when we're talking about Talik Williams, when we're talking about a healthy Marcus Davenport, who's a first round defensive end. And then you're adding Aiden Hutchinson to that. I like our linebacking core because the difference between their linebacking core and our linebacking core is they got some super athletic dudes, but Quay Walker 9 times out of 10 gets some bonehead penalty that takes him out of the game. He has those mental mistakes where Jack Campbell is going to be locked in. He's going to be a team guy. Alex Anzalone is going to be flying all over the football field. And Derek Barnes is one heck of a Sam linebacker who's ascending in the right direction. These are all team first guys who get the job done. So if you're asking me about that linebacking core, I feel like we got the advantage with those guys too. In the secondary, what are we talking about? Like, I don't even need to talk about that. Those two safeties are. See, what I'm going to tell you is this: we have the advantage everywhere. So I don't know what singular advantage you're talking about.
Yeah, I do think that the Detroit Lions are just a better team. It's no, I'm putting my hatred for the Packers aside. I feel like they made some very, very nice moves, but I just don't think they're there yet. They're going to be a playoff team. This division's too damn good for the Packers to have a losing record. I'm talking the length of the season, they're going to be just fine, but I just don't think they match up with the Detroit Lions. In a way where I'm worried. Could we lose? Yeah, we could lose. It's the NFL. Anything could happen. A couple bad mistakes, a couple bad penalties, a bad throw, some poor ball security. Like a lot of things can happen in a football game. But if everything goes perfect for both sides, and I know that's not going to happen, the Lions will come out on top. We're too well-rounded of a team. Our defense was beat to shit last year. I feel like we're going to have a top 5 defense when everyone comes back and fully healthy in a couple weeks with Lee McNeil. But we're going to do just fine until he comes back. Tyreek Williams is going to be just fine. We're going to get some solid depth pieces. So when I just look at roster for roster, the Lions have one of the best rosters in the league. What's going to stop the Lions is the Lions. Mental mistakes, costly turnovers, not converting, not executing, that kind of stuff. I don't think it's anything Green Bay can do to beat the Lions. It's what the Lions are going to do to the Green Bay Packers. If we just limit our mistakes, piece of cake, Will.
Well said.
Who do you think is going to be offensive player of the game?
Jared Goff.
Really? Okay.
Jared Goff. And I think what's going to happen is this. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to have to do some things they don't typically do to be able to stop the run. Hey, and by do some things that they don't typically do, I mean they're going to have to blitz some guys that they typically wouldn't blitz. They're going to have to do some scheme things that they don't typically do to try to solve the Kenny Clark problem. They're not just going to be able to rush 4 down linemen and hope that they can create pressures, because they're going to be dealing with run type situations. So when they can't stop the run, they're going to have to make some commitments that they're not used to making commitments to. And then after that, we're going to spank their little peepees and show them they made some mistakes, man. Like you're not allowed to make those type of mistakes and not pay. So I think that's what you're going to see out of them. So that's why I think it's going to be Jared Goff. We're going to get them into a situation where they get a little desperate, and then we're going to be able to get the ball to our weapons. I think you're going to see not a crazy football game. I'm not going to disrespect the Green Bay Packers. I'm not going to say Jared Goff is going to go out there and throw for 400 yards, but I think you're going to see a Jared Goff that throws for over 200, and he has one of those games where he goes 18 for 21. He's just being accurate. He's getting the ball out on time, and he's making it tough on that defense.
I like it. Give me a stat line. Over 200 yards. How many touchdowns?
I'm gonna say 3 tutties, over 200, and hot take. And this is just me wishing, right? J-Mo and Isaac get a tutty in this football game.
If Isaac Tesla gets a touchdown, will you dub him Mayotron? What will it take, William?
If he gets I'll tell you this, Steve. If Isaac starts off his first game as a Detroit Lion in Lambeau Field and has a tutty, I will find a Tesla jersey and I will give it away. Now, I don't know that I'll have it by week 2, because we might have to custom make it. Like, maybe they'll have one at the home game. Maybe, I don't know if they will or they won't. But if they don't, so it might be week 3, week 4 before I can give it away. But unless somebody can tell me where they're at, somebody tells me where they're at, then I'll grab one ASAP. But I'm telling you this, if he starts off, because normally me and Steve goes half season on all the giveaways, I will bite down and I will take the brunt. I'll go track down the Tesla jersey and we'll give it away. Yeah, I will. You got my word. It's on the show. So there it is. So, yeah.
My offensive player of the game, Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think he's going to get the bulk of the carries. I think the moral of the story of this whole show has been, I think the Packers are just a little light up front. Now that they got rid of Kenny Clark, stopping the run, That's the Detroit Lions' bread and butter. We're going to run the football. When you think we're going to pass, we're going to run the football. We're going to run the football when we're tired, when we're needing a couple yards, when we want to close out a game. We're just going to run the football. I think Jahmyr Gibbs, stat line, 18 carries, 133 on the ground, 1 touchdown with 4 catches for 38 yards and another touchdown in the air, William. I think Jared Goff is going to have a big game. I think it could be a monster game for Jared Goff because I don't like the Packers corners. I don't like how they match up with us. And for me, that's great. So I think Jared Goff could be a sleeper, but I think we're just going to run the rock, William. And when Jared gets into a little trouble, Quay Walker has given Jahmyr Gibbs some issues in coverage. He's been a very, very sticky linebacker. Out of all the linebackers I've watched try to cover Jahmyr Gibbs, Quay Walker is the one who's probably done it the best. So that's why I think the passing game with Jahmyr might be a little light, but I think that's going to open up some stuff for some other people. We don't need Jahmyr Gibbs to touch the ball 30 times. All right, if he catches 4 and runs for 18, 22 touches total, more than okay with me, William. What about defense? What do you got defensively? There's only one right answer, so just be careful.
There's only one right answer.
There's only one right answer.
Steve, you've been wrong 2 times. And I'll tell you this could be the third, but it's not. You're not nuts right now. You are not nuts. There's only one right answer. The father of Lambeau Field and Kirby Joseph is the player of the game with 2 interceptions. I gave you the sauce right at the beginning of this episode. 2 picks, Kirby Joseph. Steve, unfortunately, it doesn't go down at Ford Field for you, but Kirby's taking 1 to the crib.
Pick 6.
Pick 6, taking 1 to the crib.
I'd love to see it because he had one in Green Bay last year in the rain. So I would not hate a repeat performance of that. But you got the answer to the test completely wrong. All right, there was only one right answer. It was a true or false, and you couldn't get a true or false question right, William. It's Aiden Hutchinson coming back, geared up. I gave you the sauce. I told you he is a man possessed. He's got a whole rule book being named after him in the preseason. 1.5 sacks for Hutch, a strip sack returned by Jack Campbell for a touchdown. Bold take. I think we're on the defensive touchdown side because I had this written down in my notes. We're getting a defensive touchdown in Lambeau. Strip sack, scoop and score by Jack Campbell for a touchdown. Hutch is going to be unblockable. He's mad. He's pissed. He's going to be all smiles in his interviews before the game, but that helmet's going to go on. Ball's going to go in the air. The Hutch possessed is coming out. So I think he's going to be my defensive player of the year, William. Or defensive player of the year too, but defensive player of this game.
I'm glad you said that, Steve, because it leads me to a couple of questions, but I'm going to skip to that one now that you said that. I've seen it, for lack of a better word, mocked or predicted that Micah Parsons now one of the favorites for defensive player of the year. How do you feel about that? Do you think Hutch should be ahead of him? And then are you looking at Hutch as a defensive player of the year?
I think if he just stays healthy, he's winning defensive player of the year. I don't see a world where he doesn't get 16.5 or more sacks this year. And I feel like that's a low end, like bargain value on that bet right there. He's going to have games where he doesn't have a sack, but then there's going to be games where he gets 3 or 4. I think he's going to get a couple of those where we have a team being one-dimensional late in the game. 97's just pinning his ears back and just rushing the passer. And I think he's just that dominant. I think defensive player of the year is his to lose, if I'm being honest. Like that's where I am with how good he is. Comeback player of the year, that's pretty much just a formality. It's just getting through the season. So yeah, I think he's my leading candidate, but there's some other guys out there, like TJ Watt's always got his name in there, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, like all the guys that we talked about trading for, Trey Hendrickson, like they'll all be in the mix, but I think Aiden Hutchinson's just going to show that he's on a different tier this year.
Steve, the bottom line for me with Aiden Hutchinson, it's no disrespect to Micah Parsons, but when I look at these guys, I'm looking at guys that are 360-degree football players. You can't just be a pass rusher, and I'm going to look at you as defensive player of the year. Aiden Hutchinson is going to stop the freaking run. Right? Aiden Hutchinson is going to be able to rush the passer. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be getting interceptions. He finds his way to get hands on footballs and get picks too. He's dropping back in coverage. He's doing all of the things. So when I look at him, I just feel like he's a football player that can do everything that you need him to do on the football field. And he's only getting better at it. He's only getting better in sneaking and dropping back into the flats and spying quarterbacks. He's only getting better at rushing the passer. He's only getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and more able to stop the run. So I don't even think that we've seen the best Aiden Hutchinson yet. And I know that he's took a huge step forward this year, and he'll be better this year. But I still wouldn't be surprised. He's a young dude. If he came back the following season, even better than he is this season. So he's still a young guy. He's still getting better. He's still growing as a football player. For all of those reasons, to me, he's one of the names that I would be looking at defensive player of the year because of that. He can do all the things that you need a football player to do at the football field, on the football field at his position. So I'm excited to see him. I hope that you're correct with the strip sack and him just making plays. Uh, Either way that it goes, I just want this defense to look disruptive. Steve, I feel like I'm being a little bit of a Detroit Lions slappy. I haven't given the Green Bay Packers enough respect, so I will say this: when I look at this Green Bay Packers offense, I like it. I'm not a crazy over the top lover of Dude Love, Jordan Love, but I think that he is a solid quarterback. Tucker Kraft, I like him as a tight end. Luke Musgrave is underrated as the backup tight end. They got receivers for days. They got Matthew Golden. I think that he's going to have a good season. I think it is a tough ask for him to go out week one and perform as a rookie. I think he's going to be learning the game, the speed of the game, and all of the things. Maybe the second time we see him will be a little bit better. But you got all types of guys. You got Dobbs. You got, I think, Savion Williams is another guy that they drafted this year as a rookie who's been kind of floating under the radar, who can run the football and catch passes, and is a big body guy. Jaden Reed is another one. They have a lot of weapons offensively, and then they got a heck of a tank, a big tank for a running back, man, and Josh Jacobs. So respect to this Green Bay offense, and if the Detroit Lions defense can show up and give these guys problems, I'm going to really be looking at this defense as something special. I think it's a perfect opportunity for this defense to show us what they truly are. They're getting tested week one right out of the gate, and I'm excited for that. So nothing but respect for this Green Bay offense. I think that it should be a huge test for our defense and Coach Shep in his first game as defensive coordinator. Steve, how do you feel about the Green Bay offense? Do you have respect for them, and do you think they're going to be able to offer us a bit of a challenge going into week one at Lambeau Field?
I think their strength is running the ball with Josh Jacobs, which is just isn't well for them in this game because I think we're so good against the run. Like the Lions, the last 3 seasons have had a top 5 run defense. We don't let guys get loose. We don't give up 100-yard rushers. Like get inside. I know he had like 3 touchdowns against us last year on Thursday Night Football from inside the 5, but I feel like we kept him pretty much in check, other than within the goal line. So if we're putting pressure on Jordan Love, the receivers are young, like you said. Our secondary is pretty well tested. We have the best 2 safeties, DJ Reed. Everyone's talking about Terrion Arnold. Even Kelvin Shepard the other day was saying that this guy's a number 1 corner. If that's happening, I don't like their matchups for us against our safeties and secondary. So I don't think that they're going to be successful there. I don't know how they're going to be able to run the football with how good our Detroit Lions defense is. So they're going to score points. I feel like if they're going to score points, it's going to have to be slim. I don't see them getting into the upper 20s in this game, scoring 28 points. But that leads me right into my predictions, and I'll just give it. My final score prediction for this one's 27-17 Lions for those reasons. I just don't know how Green Bay is going to be able to move the ball on us. I don't think Jordan Love is the worst quarterback in the world. I think he's a little overrated. And I'm not saying this because I hate the Packers. I just truly believe Jared Goff's a better quarterback. Jordan Love is going to have pressure in his face. If Josh Jacobs can't run against us, are his young receivers going to be enough? Tucker Kraft, good tight end. I'm with you on everything you said. So I just don't know how they're going to be able to score. I could see the Lions kind of scoring 27 points in this one, and I think that is going to be more than enough for the Detroit Lions. 27-17, Lions end up winning. Well, what do you got?
I like it, Steve. The first thing that I'm going to say before I even give my prediction is 660 is the biggest number that the Green Bay Packers need to be worried about, because there's going to be 660 pounds that are going to be in between the 3 techniques, right? In between those guards, it's going to be 660 pounds, right? Because you're looking at 2 defensive tackles that are 330 pounds in DJ Reader and Talik Williams. The guys you're not moving, guys that really should be demanding double teams if you don't want them to crush pockets. I'm not sure how you run against them. I'm glad it's a problem that I never have to worry about as far as coming in as an opposing team. And then when you add Aleem McNeil to that mix, I think that it even becomes a bigger problem. But for those reasons, Steve, I think that it's hard for Green Bay to move the football. I think we make them one dimensional. And I think as I think through this thing and we talk about it more, I think we haven't given Hutchinson enough credit because uh I think we make the Packers one dimensional in this football game because we march down and score some points, and the Green Bay Packers are going to have to match that energy by throwing the football because they can't run because of that. Again, 660 pounds that are going to be right there up in their face. So for those reasons, Steve, when I think about this score, I'm going to say 35 points for the Detroit Lions, and I'm going to say 10 for the Green Bay Packers. I say the Green Bay Packers are going to have a rough go of it. We've had multiple games last season where we were shutting teams down for halves at a time, and then we had quarters, like what was it, 5 quarters or 6 quarters or something crazy where we didn't give up any points at one point, and that was we were a shell of ourselves at that time. We're a full complement right now for the most part. I know there's a couple guys like Aleem McNeil, Levon Enrique, and but I look at with us getting Talik Williams, I know he's not a Aleem McNeil quite yet, but he's going to be a solid guy in that interior. So for those reasons, Steve, I just feel like we're going to dominate this football game, man. It's going to be tough for Green Bay to get going early. Their main weapon is going to be a rookie that they're depending on, and everybody's saying that's going to have a crazy season or whatever. Brad Holmes says it all the time. You never know what you're going to get out of a rookie. You should never go into a season expecting that a rookie is going to give you all of the answers to the test, man. Matthew Golden is going to be trying to figure out football this week, and it's just going to make it tough on Dude Love.
35-10. I like it. I hope your score's more right than mine. That's just a sit back and chill Sunday and just watch the Packers get turned into some shredded cheese. I absolutely love 35-10. Well, you got anything else for today?
No, I'm excited. Guys, leave your score predictions in the comments. Leave who you're most excited about watching in the comments. And again, think about becoming a member. We just did a giveaway. We gave away a bunch of stuff. And Steve said that it's something that he wants to do every single week. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. But Steve has said something about refinancing the house. So I don't know. That's all I got.
Yeah. And don't think that I didn't go unnoticed that Will has launched a clothing line with Kanye West today. It was noticed. I don't know what the thought process was behind that.
Shout out to my daughter, man. I meant to say it at the beginning of the episode, Steve. You're going to understand this because it's coming for you. It's coming for you. I can't believe I forgot to say this. Steve, this Snuggie was a Father's Day gift to me, and I just got it back. It's 2 years old. My daughter has had it the whole time. It was a Father's Day gift to me for herself, apparently. So, Jordan, shout out to you. Thank you for letting me get my Snuggie back. I thought, man, this might be the only time I get to wear it. So, yeah, that's why I got it on.
Not the most flattering thing I've seen you wear, Will. I'll just leave it at that. Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.